Close that window. What's happening, ladies and gents? Welcome back. Hey, it's a Friday evening. I hope everyone's got their favorite wobbly pop out there. We're gonna get into this. Why don't we bring the chat on in? Welcome in, chat. Yay! I thought I was gonna be late there for a second. How late am I? Only 2 minutes late this time. Only 2 minutes. But hey, the show must go on. Hey. What? Oh, holy cow. What a week. What a week and what an end to this week. Crazy. We're going to get into all of that stuff, but let's first address the chat. Welcome, chat. Where's everybody coming from? Where's everyone coming from? I've added on a new thing too, so I can bring the interwebs in here. It's going to be a little squishy up in here, but you know, every once in a while, if I just want to pop something up here, but I don't want to get rid of the chat all at the same time, we can have both things going at the same time. That's amazing. Hi from Manitoba. Oh, good to see you. Edmonton. We got people from all over the place. Langley, BC. Greetings from Bowen Island, BC. Wow. A lot of BC people so far in the chat. Hawkesbury, Eastern Ontario. Murnum, Alberta. Winnipeg. We got South Okanagan. Oh, how's the weather out there? It's been pretty mild. Been pretty mild up this area lately. By the way, how does everybody like the new look? I got a new lens. I'm just seeing how if anybody's even noticed. But this is a prime lens. Just up in the quality a little bit. I know you guys, especially the members of the channel, people who put in super chats. Massive plus to the production quality of everything that's going on here at the show, and I try to put a lot more into it as things go. You may notice like the bokeh effect and all that stuff going on, but it is looking really nice. I do like it. Thank you, Ewa Dawud. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. I always get the names wrong. But yes, so donations come in, super chats, tips, whatever you want to call them. You call them donations, tips. I call them tips. I think it's a good way of tipping. It's kind of like busking, that kind of thing. But yeah. Getting a bit more funds coming in is a great thing, so I can add to the channel. And then I've been giving back a bit too by trying to put out more shorts content for those people that like shorts. Some people hate it. I don't know. You can never please, you can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time. I try my best. I do try. But yeah, get as much content out there for people to consume as much as possible. Adding a little bit more stuff, if you may have noticed, a little bit more. You look like you're on a Zoom call. Okay, that's terrible. You sure thought you're just your internet. But yeah, adding a little bit of edits here and there. I don't pay an editor, so this is all just me, just putting my time into it. And I really appreciate you guys giving back. This is a shared sort of thing going on. Love shorts. Awesome. I'm glad some people appreciate it. I get some people that really don't like it. Funny thing is, I've had the biggest complaint that I just thought was the weirdest complaint ever. So to stay healthy and be able to keep doing work, I got a stand-up desk with a under-the-desk treadmill, so I can keep up with my steps, and do my work at the same time. I like going outside for walks. That's the thing I love to do, but I don't always have time for it, and the weather's not always the greatest for it. That's another thing, especially as the winter sets on. It gets so dark. By the time I get home and I'm ready to go for a walk, it's dark anyway, and you. I mean, there's nothing but woods around here. I'm like, I don't really want to go for a walk in the woods in the dark. But that's the thing. What was this? So it looks like you're on the ball, Clyde. Thank you. Yeah, I've been on the ball for sure. But yeah, it was crazy. People complaining about walking in shorts. It's such a weird complaint. But there's a really loud minority of people that are really like, I can't stand you walking. It's one person was even saying, you can't be taken seriously when you walk. Wow. Not a fan of treadmill personally. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's the thing. Oh, I love the walking in the darks in the forest at night. Yeah, except some of the animals are kind of aggressive at this time of year. Around these parts. So yeah, I prefer to just, get work done at the same time. That's the thing. The treadmill was annoying when you were talking. That's just me though. Wow, amazing. I was laughing at the idiots complaining about you walking on the treadmill. So there's even a little contention in the chat tonight. That's hilarious. No, Clyde, I'm the treadmill. It looks like you're doing a balance on your exercise ball. Yeah, no, just walking away, doing my thing. See, the thing is, like with the shorts, I'm gonna keep doing that because often I'm walking while I'm doing an edit, and then I just got to put in my 2 cents as I'm editing a short. I'm not stopping everything, I'm just gonna hit record, and that's the way things go. Get over yourselves, people. Oh, that's so funny. Mayday Canada here. Yeah, Mayday indeed. We're gonna go over a bunch of that stuff. Yes, I was getting seasick. What do you do with people that are walking? Like what's his name? Dan Dix. He does videos all the time where he's walking and he lives not far from where I live. And he walks in the woods. Like he goes on nature hikes and he pulls the camera with him. Is that disorienting? The glide, just be you. I'm always just gonna be me. Don't you worry. I find it entertaining, the critiques, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just gonna do what I do. But that's neither here nor there. That's just the way it's gonna go. I found it really funny. What province are you in, Clyde? I'm in British Columbia, all the way on the wet coast. And boy, is it wet right now. Holy, is it ever. I used a mountain bike at night in the North Shore. Awesome. Thrash metal and beers. I thought you said, I read bears there for a second real quick. Yeah, thrash metal and beers and bears. Best Friday nights ever. Oh, holy cow. Milady loves cats with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much. That'll go towards the next lens. They're not cheap, I'll tell you. Love that you're taking care of staying active while keeping us up to date. Keep on walking. I got one too, and I love it. I just need to get some getting used to. That's it. Just get used to it. Yeah, just get used to it. It's fun. I like it. I like it a lot. Even go for runs sometimes. Just to stay fit. That's really what it is. Clyde must be performed 25 push-ups to have a kind of notoriety. Yeah. I do push-ups all the time. I do them every day. Hit the like button, folks. It gets more great content and moments. It doesn't cost you anything but a click to show your support. Thank you, Sheridan Forbes. Appreciate that. Really, thank you. Yeah, get on down there. Hit that like button. I mean, what's the ratio right now? Pretty awful. Holy cow, 436 people in the chat right now. Only 166 likes. You know what it does. It helps with the algorithm. What it does is it tells the algorithm, hey, there's a bunch of people in this kind of demographic group. And we know they're tracking everything that you watch on YouTube, but they're tracking all the kinds of other people too that have similar interests. And what they do is they take that information, they go, wow, these people like that thing. I'm going to recommend it out to those other people that are probably going to like that thing. And it helps out and it brings more people to the community. So I love it. I appreciate it. Hit that like button. It's free and it helps out a ton. Inclined Walker coming up next episode. Yeah. Get one of those. I'll get one of those. This one, it can go inclined. But then I would be like going up and then down all the time. So I stay away from that. But yeah, why not? We'll get a Stairmaster. Well, I'll get a Thigh Master for one of these episodes for all the people that just really don't like it. I'm gonna go to town and go ham with all of that. No, that's too funny. Take us out in the dark to meet the Sam Squanches, please. Yeah, I've had videos outdoors, and as soon as the low light comes, especially because you when you're doing streams outdoors, you do them on your phone. Low light, terrible, terrible. So we'll right wing walker. I like it. I like it. Drop and give me 20 private. Yeah, that's it. Do not give up your firearms. No, don't. No, not at all. No, not at all. Yeah, I get the 45-degree slope. That's crazy. I don't think that nobody even makes that. That's a Stairmaster, my man. That is a Stairmaster. So where do we start? Where do we start on this this whole topic? Because this is a wow. Now, in my opinion, Trudeau, wow. In my opinion, I mean, he wants to do this. He wants to do this, and a lot of people are pushing this out there, and they're saying this, and I tend to agree. The timing might be the reason why this has come out now. Well, the timing comes out because of the school massacre from back, the Polytechnic massacre that took place. So that's the timing for that. But is it one of those things where it may be fueled on current events? Possibly. In the current event, that's the big notable one is Justin Trudeau meeting up with Donald Trump impromptu, and how embarrassing that whole situation is for the guy. It's awful. I mean, it looks really bad for him. It looks bad for Canada, and it's pushing us in a direction where we ought to be having an election. But I'm afraid that's not going to happen. I think the more doubling down that goes on, or the more that this happened, the more he's going to double down, in my opinion. It's what you get out of narcissists. Absolutely. Didn't Jordan Peterson say something about that recently? Trudeau narcissist. Let me pull that up. See if it's on Twitter. Peterson. Trudeau narcissist. How do you spell that? Narcissist. Hold on. I'm the worst at spelling. No, I didn't even, not even close. Holy cow. I was way off. All right, let's pull this up. So Justin Trudeau was being interviewed, and he talked about Justin Trudeau. And I think this might be the clip, actually, from Cat Canada, putting it out there. Let me try this picture-in-picture. We'll put this up here so everybody can see it here.
Like when you talk about your friend Trudeau.
Well, that Canada's in the state you get in when you elect Peter Pan to be your leader. He's, I think he's an incompetent narcissist. I think every single word that Justin Trudeau says is a lie. I think every single gesture he makes is a lie. It's all performative. He was a drama teacher, part-time drama teacher. He was completely and utterly unqualified for the job. And he could have taken it and thought, well, I'm an idiot, but, you know, I have a name and I could buckle down and learn. I could apprentice myself. I could surround myself with great people.
Yes, Jordan did move to the U.S. Like, give her. I don't think that's an issue. Brother man, Drew Coover, what's happening, my man? Thanks for joining again tonight. Appreciate that. Let's
and I could grow into the job, but that isn't what he did. As soon as he got elected, he picked a cabinet that was half women, even though 25% of the elected officials were women.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you didn't pick the best people then, buddy. It's 2015. It's time for half of the people to be women. That's the level of thinking he's capable of.
I love his Jordan Peterson, or sorry, I love Jordan Peterson's impersonation of Trudeau. By the way, how does he do it? Let's hear that again.
It's 2015. It's time for half of the people to be women. That's the level of...
It's 2015. But yeah, I mean, it was the laughingstock of the world. Wow. Why did you pick 50% of your cabinet to be women when only 25% of them are MPs in your party? Because it's 2015. What does that mean? Current year argument. Wow. Okay. Because current year. That's really an argument. That's really his argument. That's embarrassing. It really is.
Of thinking he's capable of. And he's scuttled the Canadian economy. We're about as productive now as Mississippi. Right, we were at parity 10 years ago with the US. Our housing is twice as expensive. We have far more immigrants entering the country than you do with your open southern border, right? We're slated to have the worst performing economy in the developing world for the next 30 years. He's scuttling the energy industry. He refused to deliver natural gas to the Germans and to the Japanese when they came cap in hand asking, and turned all that money over to the...
Is there a actual name to that fallacy? The logical fallacy of current year? The current year argument fallacy? I don't know. If it's not an appeal to authority, because the year itself isn't an authority. Appeal to popular belief, perhaps. Appeal to popularity, because of what he's putting out there. It's 2015, so this is the zeitgeist, and this is what appeal to Annam. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know what the actual fallacy in that case is, but it's just false. It's not an argument, period. It's current year argument.
Middle Eastern tyrants and the Russians. Right. What else? He's produced the most totalitarian legislation that Canada has ever seen. He scuttled the Constitution. He stole Canadians' bank accounts during the trucker convoy and acted unconstitutionally, which the courts have already.
Drew Coover with a $2 super chat. Brother man, Jordan and all the men are leaving. Well, not all the men are leaving, but yeah, a lot of people are leaving. The brain drain is real. The brain drain is real in Canada, and it's going to exacerbate this situation. I'm not kidding. And it's not just, Canadians that are leaving. It's the good immigrants that we want here that are leaving as well.
Decided. His energy minister, Stephen Guilbeault, is a delusional, nature-worshipping activist and has been since he was 5 years old. He's at war with Alberta, which has
He's at war with Gaia. Like, you're not going to defeat nature. Yeah, he's at war with Alberta for no good reason.
Third largest oil reserves in the world. Saskatchewan has the largest uranium reserves. Canada could be insanely wealthy if we weren't childish beyond belief.
So is public opinion turning on Trudeau?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's in all likelihood, he'll be scuttled. His party will be scuttled in the next election, next October. But he'll hang on till October 25th because he's made a devil's deal with Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the Socialists, a man too stupid to even negotiate for a cabinet position despite having formed essentially a coalition, which is also unheard of in the Canadian political tradition. There's never been a coalition like this. And anybody with any sense who forms a coalition as a minority party leader gets a seat at the table. But Singh, he's a Rolex wearing, what would you say, tailored suit socialist. I don't know what sort of
Maserati Marxist. That's the term that we heard recently. That's the new one. Where did we hear that? We heard that here. This is, not from this clip. This was a different clip. Let me pull up the clip. Maserati Marxist. Oh, where is it? Here we go.
Conservatives chirping. They proved that bootlickers are billionaires.
Bootlickers for billionaires. This is from Alex Zoltan, by the way, and Marty North retweeted this.
The Maserati Marxist over there in the... Who wants to tax your gas? You're both out of touch. Canadians are out of money. How about a carbon tax election?
All right, how about slogans? Yeah, we'll get more slogans, but listen, go more into this.
Creature that is.
Oh, that's the end of that video.
Like when you talk about your friend Trudeau.
Well, Canada's in the state you get in when you elect Peter Pan to be your leader.
What did you just
minority party leader gets a seat at the table.
Anyway, in the clip that I was thinking of, he goes on to say about the behavior of a narcissist. The behavior of a narcissist, when you get, so they'll have their charm, right? The charm is how they get their way and the things that they want. But when the charm wears off and they don't get the things that they want, that love for the thing that, you know, obviously he wants power, and that's the thing. And the people that he would give love to and charm to quickly turn sour, and then it becomes they become, and the people will become the object that's in his way towards power. And at that point, then that's when the narcissist turns and then wants revenge, and they want revenge on the person that gave them power in the first place. So this is the reality of the situation. It's really wow, that's powerful now that I think about that in so many ways. I've seen that kind of behavior before. And yeah, very true about the whole lashing back and going after the people that are actually at the end of the day the victims in the whole situation. But hey, welcome to Canada, and welcome to Canada indeed. And who's he going after first? Well, right now he's first. I don't know about first, but he's going after law-abiding citizens that own firearms. He's taking away their property. And this is a big issue in Canada. This is a big issue for me because I believe that property rights are the cornerstone of a market economy. And I think that a market economy, the freer the market, the more we will pull people out of abject poverty. This is the reality of the situation. There has been no boon in history like the market economy. We've had human existence, we've had human civilization that's gone, we've had serfdom, we've had slavery, and all of these institutions flat for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. But the second we had a market economy and we made it work, boom, human productivity shot through the roof, and with productivity comes all the benefits of that productivity, which means wealth for virtually everybody, which is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's like in a true market economy, the only people who don't have prosperity, for the most part, are the people who are unwilling to go after prosperity. Even people with disabilities and inabilities to do things can always find their hustle. And it's a great system, and it's that tide that rises and lifts all boats. It's amazing. I have nothing but great things to say about the market economy and everything that over the years that I've learned about, and all the things that the Marxists, the socialists say about it are just defamatory towards the market economy. It's bred out of jealousy. It's not bred out of actual observations of what happens in real life. It's not scientific, if you want to look at it that way, because that's observing what's happening in front of you. And so obviously the market economy is such a great thing. Well, what's the cornerstone of that? Property rights, and a court system that upholds property rights. And what is at stake right now in Canada? You guessed it, property rights. Property rights are in massive jeopardy. And yeah, a lot of people will say, well, they're just gun owners. It's not, I mean, we're just coming after. Well, at first they come for your guns, then they come for your cars, and then they're going to come for your homes. And then what's next? They're going to come for your children. Well, maybe they've already come enough on a lot of those fronts, a lot of those things. But now they're going full bore at guns, and who's stopping them? That's the question. Now, if you're not familiar with this clip, this is a clip of who was the Minister of Justice, David Lametti, him talking about just that. In Canada, Canadian citizens aren't afforded property rights. That's not something that Canadian citizens even have.
Well, look, we'll obviously tailor the provisions so that it could withstand a court challenge. You don't have an absolute right to own private property in Canada. There are there are steps that are taken when expropriations happen at whatever level of government, and we'll be sure to stay with.
And we'll be sure to stay within the bounds of the. I love to hear this again.
Don't have could withstand a court challenge. You don't have an absolute right to own private property in Canada. It is there
are ways for us to arbitrarily change the rules so that we can come and confiscate your property. That's what he's getting at. That's what he's getting at. We're just going to work within the framework to ensure that we can do what we do, which it would be illegal if there was fundamental rights in this country. If there were fundamental rights, that's what you'd be able to get. So my Funko Pop collection isn't mine. That's right, Mucho Taco. It's not at the end of the day if Justin Trudeau decides he wants to come in and get it. And it's not just Justin Trudeau. If Stephen Harper wanted to come get your Funko Pop collection, he could have made an excuse. If Pierre Poilievre, when he becomes prime minister, wanted to do that, he can make that happen. See, this is the thing. This is the thing and the difference between, you know, being partisan, being a cheerleader, or just looking at the reality of the situation. It doesn't matter who's in. We need to get rid of the ability of the government to do these things. This is the reality of the situation. In the United States of America, and this is why a lot of people were memeing, they're riffing on that 51st state meme, is because we're all envious of their constitution. Their constitution is written to the government about what they can and cannot infringe upon. It's an instruction manual, not for the people, but for the government. Jevon Gendrew, I hope I'm pronouncing it right this time. It's $6.99 super chat. Thank you so much. They're already coming for our cars by claiming we need to only have electric vehicles by 2030. Yeah. Yes, they are. They're coming for the property that you already have. Now they'll say, well, it's obsolete now. It's obsolete. So why would you need it? You're not going to need that obsolete technology. Well, what if I do want it? What if I want it and I want to use it? And who are you to tell me I can't? I've been hearing these arguments all day long because I got a lot of people nipping at me on Twitter, on X. Sorry, X Twitter. Call it what you want. It's hard to get used to. Got a lot of people nipping at me saying, well, why do you need that? Why do you need this? There's a lot of things that nobody needs. But who's the arbiter of that? Who's the arbiter of what you need and what you ought to have? Who's that arbiter? Because I don't trust the government to be that. I don't trust some douchebag on Twitter to be that. This is the reality of the situation. Then it's like, then everything's in question. Certain types of firearms. Why? Because they're ergonomic. Oh, ergonomics scare me. I'm scared of ergonomics. There might be people out there that are shooting enthusiasts that have strong wrists that aren't injured. You know? You serious? Why don't we outlaw power drills that are ergonomic? I'm serious. It's ergonomophobia. There you go. Oh, I'm sticking to that one. Ergonomophobia. Our government is ergonomophobic. That's what it is. They're just afraid of people having healthy wrists and good posture. But I'm joking. Obviously. Who thinks Clyde sounds like Elmo? Lightgiver. What is your deal tonight? Are you okay? Are you okay? We've had you around for a bit. But yeah, having an interesting evening. But anyway, let's keep going. Yeah, so ergonomics is the big thing, because the more ergonomic it looks, the more scary, those big scary firearms that, you know, you have a grip on them so you can hold them nicely and tightly and not injure your wrist while shooting them. But they're being called other things. Now, I want to remind people, that of what the government is doing right now. Oh, I was doing a funny voice? Okay. But I want to remind people of the situation in the government right now. Now, the government is making moves as if they're some sort of majority government that just got voted in. They've got a mandate to govern, and they're coming in and they're making unilateral decisions. Now, I want to stress this point because this is what the voting map looks like right now. This is what polls in Canada look like right now. Thank you, Alex Zoltan. Again, another great tweet. And I've been hanging on to this one because this says everything. And for my American friends that are viewing the channel, yes, the conservatives are blue. We're not gone Democrat. No, the conservatives are blue, and the liberals are communist red in Canada. It's a slightly different shade from the Republican red. It is very much a communist red. They bypassed the socialists, the NDP, and went full commie, full bore commie. But this is what the electoral map looks like right now. Yeah, Quebec, have another referendum, please. What are you doing? Anyway, this is what the electoral map looks like. So this is definitely the case where the Liberals have no standing in the decisions that they're making right now. And I want to stress this a lot because what they tried to do is put this list of firearms in Bill C-21. And they tried to do it in a sneaky way because the Bill C-21 was a piece of legislation that they were just going after handguns. We're just going after handguns. That's all we're doing. Don't worry, everybody. Don't look over here at the things that we're definitely doing by drafting some more legislation. It was like a 2-page bill. Super quick, super easy. I disagreed with it, but hey, have the vote on it. Have the vote on it going after handguns, which I think should be unconstitutional to go after people's property. But hey, this is a democracy, right? So we're going to have these conversations. So they went to go after handguns. And then at the 23rd hour, boom, an amendment, 450 pages of craziness that was basically just a huge list that they gathered willy-nilly of firearms and just put them on this list. Kenzie Kraken with the $5 super chat says, Canada needs dope the Department of Prosperity and Efficiency. Unfortunately, PP does not seem to have what it takes. Now, a lot of people are saying that. Now, my criticism of PP is what is he gonna lie? What is he lying to us about? I don't know because we get all these really nice promises from politicians, and if I ever got a chance to interview him, that would be my main question right there. Is of all the promises that you're doing, we're used to people. Can we just have maybe a sneak peek, a sneak preview of all the things that you're not going to be truthful about? Drew Coover upgraded membership to silver member. Whoa! Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Becoming a silver member now. That's awesome. Thank you. So get back into this. So the Bill C-21 had this extra amendment, and they tried to shoehorn that in while nobody was looking, and nobody would find out, nobody would pay attention, nobody would know, and that's it. I keep seeing no Second Amendment in Canada. Yes, there is no Second Amendment in Canada. We need a Second Amendment in Canada. We need a First Amendment in Canada. We need it'd be nice to have the U.S. Constitution just copy paste. Pow, that would be fantastic. But Bill C-21, when they tried to pass that last minute, people did notice, and they raised a hell of a stink over it. And this is the thing. They had to get rid of that amendment. They had to get rid of that whole amendment. It flopped. And, it actually opened up the door to ask questions about how do you even have this information? Because I did an interview with Serbu, the guy who makes the butt master that got on the thing, and it was you wouldn't believe it. I had him come on. I had him lined up to come on, and then Tucker Carlson scooped me. He called up and canceled. He's like, "I'm sorry, I was gonna come Thursday. I'll have to come, Friday." It was like Wednesday or Thursday. I'll have to come Thursday, because I'm going on Tucker Carlson. I was like, wow, okay. Understand. Totally understand. But yeah, he went on Tucker, and then he came on to this show and talked about it. But the Serbu Buttmaster, which was a joke. It was a joke because it was a single shot pen gun that the guy made. He's a firearms manufacturer, right? No, it's not a 50 cal. It's a 22 long rifle. But it might have been a 22 short. It was tiny thing. But he called it the Buttmaster because of where you could conceal it if you wanted to take it somewhere. Anyway, it was a one-off, one gun. But because he's an actual manufacturer of firearms, period, he had to list it with I think it's the FAC in the United States. So when he listed it, it went on a list of firearms. And this is why everyone assumed Trudeau's, it even got American news attention, this Bill C-21 amendment. So that's what happened with that. Now, this is where I'm going with this. The democratic process came through. It came through. That bill got squashed, or at least the amendment to the bill got squashed. And see you later. See you later. And then what happens? Well, they come forward and they make an announcement just yesterday. And this is the announcement.
Today, the government is adding a further 324 unique makes and models of assault-style firearms to the list of prohibited firearms in Canada.
Yeah, we're adding all of those to the list of prohibited firearms. How are you doing it? Oh, that's right. Order in council. Order in council. What does that mean? It's kind of like an executive order for my American friends down south that don't know Canadian politics and how this works and all of that. Yeah, it's just an order in council. So they're just going unilaterally and doing this. Now, we can fight this in court. This is something that can be fought, but this is just them by decree. So we went from trying to go through the democratic process, which, of course, is not in their favor, as you see here. It's not in their favor, because if we wanted to do things democratically, how would we do that? Well, let's go to an election and make that the election issue and let the voters decide. Well, the voters clearly don't want the liberal agenda right now, because that's not really a popular agenda at the moment. No, of course not. And they don't want the liberals in office at all. So they're going full on at this, and they're going at it in a very I would suggest, anti-democratic way. This is anti-democratic to usurp, first off, go past the democratic process that they failed doing. And now they know that the voter population don't want them in government anymore, and they're behaving as if they have a mandate. They're behaving as if they have a mandate. And oh boy, do they not have a mandate. Now, what's on top of this? What's on top of this extra, excuse me, I'm getting burps here. What's on top of this extra bill? Not even a bill, sorry. What's on top of this order in council? That they're going to take all of these extra firearms. They've already added 1,500, by the way, to this list, and they haven't gone around and confiscated any of those yet. But when they get around to it, what are they going to do with it?
This prohibition takes effect immediately. This means these firearms can no longer be legally used, sold, or imported in Canada, and can only be transferred or transported under extremely limited circumstances.
Come get them. I mean, at the end of the day, I saw a lot of people in the comments today saying, well, you know, I'd hand them over, but unfortunately they all got stolen recently, or I just had a boating accident.
Part of that process, the government of Canada has committed to the Ukrainian government to identify whether some of these guns could be donated to support the fight for democracy in Ukraine.
So This is such a roundabout doozy. It's unbelievable. So we did a rather undemocratic, anti-democratic thing in Canada by passing this in an order in council, not making it an election thing when you know the polls are against your party, absolutely against your party. It didn't pass through the democratic process, so you've gone through the dictatorial process, and you're going to hand over Canadians' guns to a country that has suspended democracy. And before you tell me, it's because there's a war, there have been multiple countries in history that have had elections during wars. Don't give me that. There have been so many. No, they've suspended democracy in Ukraine. So they're going to go through the anti-democratic process to give it to an anti-democratic country to save democracy. Spare me. Spare me. Oh, I'm getting worked up. Let's take a chill. Let's take a pause here for a minute, folks. Folks. Because, holy cow. And I'm just getting into it. Because it gets more ridiculous. It gets crazier. Keep your guns or lose your freedom. You know it. Should we send them crossbows from Canadian Tire? Send them nothing. They're already taking enough taxes. Anyone listen to Mike Benz on JRE? Yes. You'll be forced to make a donation. Yeah. Yeah, donating to the government. Forcible donations. Venezuelans know. Rudy, man, welcome to the chat. Everybody who doesn't know, Rudy's a podcaster from Venezuela. I had him on last week. He's doing a bang up job. Go check out his channel. It's all in Spanish content, but YouTube's great with the auto translate now. And pretty soon, they're gonna have they'll have the ability to actually dub it over into your own voice. So I'm looking forward to having my show in multiple languages that people can check out because the AI is just getting amazing. Nuxer Cup with the $5 super chat. How many gun owners would be so happy to know they were forced to directly support Ukraine, regardless of their beliefs? Well, let me break it to you. You've been doing it with your tax dollars. In fact, how many kids in the future are going to grow up to be adults and say, oh, I'm paying interest on loans that were given to the Canadian government so they can give it to Ukraine to wage a war that you may or may not agree with? Hi, brother. I have to bring you on my show very soon. I'd be happy to go on your show, Rudy. Absolutely. I'd be stoked to go on your show. Let's do it. And then, yeah, next time I'm visiting your region, I gotta get some of that. The bread you were talking about. It was like I can't remember the name of it. It started with an A. It sounds so good. But yeah, no, I wanted to bring up Venezuela because what is the first thing that we should learn from all of these places that turned into dictatorships is you don't let them take your way of defending yourself away from you. You kiss your country goodbye. Easy Joe with a $2 super chat. Do we even get anything from Ukraine? No. We get nothing. It's just laundering our money. 85 billion in cash to Ukraine, plus they emptied the armories. Yeah. Now, talk to somebody in the military. Talk to anyone who's been an infantryman, anyone who's been on the front lines, who's done logistics. I work with a guy who worked for the British infantry. He's a veteran. He's been to he's done tours everywhere, and he's seen frontline combat. I'm talking. So he did Desert Storm. He was in Afghanistan. He was in Northern Ireland. I mean, he did all of it. Ask anyone who's ever been in that situation if they would like a whole pile of Citizens semi-automatic hunting caliber rifles. Mixed bag, by the way. A mixed bag of them with no spare parts, no idea what the owners actually put into those things, and say, hey, would you like that? Do you think that'll make your job a little easier? No, it would make things worse. So the proposal here would actually make things worse, even if you are trying to support the Ukrainian effort. It's unbelievable. Be better than the army's guns, at least. Yeah, but not if they're not uniform. That's the thing. And what are you gonna do? You're gonna shoot a bunch of 22s? I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I gotta pull this up because where is it? Oh, here it is. Here it is. I'm all over the place with the bits here, but let's get this in here. So Justin Trudeau's ego putting this one out there. Footage has just been released of Russian officials discussing the gun confiscation and plans to send the weapons to Ukraine. And they're laughing at me. I'm sure I'm sending World War II rifles to a modern war, but I really hope the world leaders would start taking me seriously. Now I gotta put this on the I'll put this on the big screen so you guys can see the subtitles, because this is hilarious. There's no sense of showing you what they're saying in Russian. Trudeau announced he'll be confiscating all dreaded what does it say? All dreaded all dreaded GSG-16 guns from his people, and we'll send them to Ukraine to fight us with. It's a 22, and there's Putin laughing. I'm not kidding. This is literally what's being said here. This is what's being discussed. Yeah, they're gonna send 22s into combat. We're run by idiots. We're run by idiots. Our country is run by idiots. I can't stress this enough. Holy cow. What else are we seeing here? There's just so much to talk to here in this. Okay, let's get into some of these clips. So here's well, okay, that's a news clip. I'm gonna get to that after. Let me see what load. Oh, okay. This is my post that kind of went viral today. This is Trudeau. You don't need a gun to protect yourself. Also, Trudeau, Ukrainians need guns to protect themselves. Yeah, crazy. So let's get into this. We saw this disgusting piece. Here's from the Western Standard talking about this. The Trudeau Liberals on Thursday said they plan to confiscate formerly legal guns to give them to Ukraine. It was part of a new draft of gun confiscation orders coming down from the Justin Trudeau government. A total of 324 unique makes and models of assault-style firearms. We're going to hear that a bunch tonight. That's a thing. Will be added to the list of prohibited firearms in Canada, announced Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc at a press conference Thursday afternoon. There's actually no such thing as an assault-style firearm. There are automatic, semi-automatic, and single-shot firearms. Yeah, like single-shot being like a bolt action, pump action, that kind of thing. Some people don't understand this, so I'll have to explain it. So a semi-automatic firearm, or sorry, a single shot is one where it may have a magazine, it may have a clip, it may have whatever, something to hold more than just one round, but you have to do some physical action to get the next one going, right? Whether it's a bolt action or a pump action or something like that, or crack it open and pull the thing out, pop another one in. That's a single shot. You can have an over-under side by side. That's nonetheless. A semi-automatic is one that has some way of feeding more cartridges via magazine, whether that's a loaded magazine, tube magazine, fed-in magazine, clip, as you know, it is called a clip if it's like a stripper clip, that kind of thing. Those, you load them, put one in the chamber, you fire it, the mechanism strips the empty cartridge out, puts a new one in the chamber, ready to go. You just pull the trigger again. So you can pull the trigger, pop, pull the trigger again, pop, but it doesn't just run away on you. It doesn't do any of that stuff. Now, fully automatic is a firearm that has a particular kind of sear in it. It functions a lot like a semi-automatic, but the sear allows it so that when you pull the trigger, it'll fire, and it will continue to fire over and over and over again until some limiting factor. Whether it's got a 3-round burst mechanism in it that'll stop after 3 rounds, or it will keep going until the magazine or the whatever is empty. That is the definitions. These are the legal definitions of these differences in firearms. Now, you know, and you know, we can get into the semantics of what revolvers have. Not gonna bother, because we're not even talking about handguns at this point. This is the reality of the situation. Cody E, member for 28 months. Man, has it been that long? That's crazy. Just started the stream. Need to watch at 1.75 speed to catch up. Need to go at 2 times the speed to go as fast as Canada is crushing. Holy cow. Good, nice. I like the humor you've got. That's a joke. That is a joke. But yeah, no, all right. Well, welcome to the stream. Can't wait until you're caught up. But this is where we're gonna go. Okay, so back to the article. Back to the article here. The prohibition takes effect immediately, and Indigenous communities will be provided with certain race-based accommodations and exemptions. I thought we got rid of race-based things. I digress. I'm not getting into that topic tonight. On Friday, December 13th, the federal government will table regulations to ensure that no firearm can come into Canada or be sold in Canada without first being approved by the RCMP, said LeBlanc. I thought that was already the case. Tell me that wasn't already the case. It's already the case. Defense Minister Bill Blair told reporters the Department of National Defense will begin working. And you know what? This is crazy that they don't even know that that's the case. The guy who's in charge of public safety doesn't know that it's always been the case. That's their job, to make sure that the ones that come in are legally allowed to be here. Holy cow. My inner Italian is going out. Where do we go with this? Where do we go with this? Defense Minister Bill Blair told reporters the Department of National Defense will begin working with the Canadian companies that have weapons that Ukraine needs and which are ready and eligible for social firearm compensation program in order to get these weapons out of Canada and into the hands of Ukrainians, because Ukrainians need to be able to protect themselves. We're not talking. Are we talking about soldiers? Maybe we're talking about just giving them to civilians. Wait, what? They didn't really specify there. They didn't really specify. Interesting that. Now, it's notable. This is a notable thing to think about. So during the Second World War, lead up to other countries entering during the Second World War, I can't remember the name of the emperor of Japan, or it was some shogun general in Japan, and he was asked about the idea of invading the United States, and he said it would be a tragic mistake to try to do a land invasion of the United States, because behind every blade of grass is a rifle. Now, that's not literal. That's a figure of speech. But because they knew that there was a armed population in Japan, in America, that it would just be suicide to go in and invade a place where the populace is fully capable of defending themselves. Hiroshito. Okay, so that's who it was. Yeah, smart general. Yeah, right? Right? But now we're talking about, oh, well, the Ukrainians need to be armed because they're at war. You know what? I'm not going to pull this up, but Ukraine actually had a situation where the people were chronically underprepared for the situation when it popped off, and nobody had guns. And to the point that the military was trying to train them for the scenario, and all they had was wooden cutouts of AKs. I'm not kidding. They had wooden cutouts of AKs. Before somebody calls me out for misinformation, I just read an article today about it because I looked it up. I don't want to... Perhaps I can. Is it in my history? Is it in my history? I don't know. Nah, never mind. I'm not gonna bother. Oh yeah, no, here it is. Forget it. Here it is. Boom. From the Daily Mail. That's hardly going to terrify Putin. Ukrainian civilians train with wooden assault rifles in bizarre defense exercise as fear grows of Russian invasion. So they weren't even, they knew it was inbound. They knew it was about to happen. And what were they doing? They were training with wood because they were ill-equipped. So you think maybe it's a good idea if you're in a contentious situation to maybe have firearms handy. Just have them around. I saw that they did have wooden guns. Yeah, that's right. All the Canadian Army. Yeah. You know what? The Canadian Army was over there training them. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that special? Isn't that something else? Let's get into some of these speeches. Here's Dominic LeBlanc. Unbelievable. Thank you, Rebel News, for making this available.
In Quebec and across the country, Canadians deserve to live in communities that are safe and free of gun violence. Weapons of war have no place in our communities. The ban of...
Okay, so right away. Gotta get in there right away. I gotta get in. The largest purveyors of misinformation out there, the federal government of Canada. Weapons of war. Weapons of war is the new term because assault weapons doesn't sound bad enough. Blah, blah, blah. That kind of thing. Well, we'll find out real quick when they send them over there if they're actually weapons of war or not, right? We'll find out when they're going, the heck is this? Why are you giving me a Springfield from the First World War? What is this? Why? So yeah, right out of the get-go, right out of the gates. So here's the thing. We have tighter restrictions on firearms than we've ever had in Canadian history. Now under this government, we have tighter regulations on firearms. We have more rules about firearms. We have more restricted firearms. We have more prohibited firearms than we've ever had in our nation's history. We have the highest gun crime than we've ever had in our nation's history. Just throwing that out there. They love their fear mongering, my friend. Yeah, they do. They do, AJ. And this is the reality of the situation. Okay, so right out of the gates, he's saying we're concerned about public safety. Well, if you're concerned about public safety, all else equal, when we had the most liberal, laxed, whatever you want to call it, open gun possession laws, is when we had the lowest gun crime in Canadian history. the more gun laws we've had, the more gun control, the more gun regulation, the more gun crime we've had in the country. And then we now that criminals know that everybody's disarmed, the advent of daytime, while people are home invasions. Never used to happen.
A further 324 unique makes and models was made possible by the RCMP using the criteria for the May 2020 order in council and a new technical definition from Bill C-21, which define what is a prohibited firearm.
What did I tell you? They got it from Bill C-21. It was from their amendment that's right, failed democratically. So now they're going extra democratic or outside, extra varies, I think might have been the term, outside of the purview of democracy. They're going straight to dictatorial rule. This is what's happening.
The RCMP has a deep knowledge of firearms found in Canada, and they have the ability to determine which firearms are designed for military purposes and those that can be considered reasonable firearms for hunting.
Why do they have military purpose firearms then? If they're a police force, why are they carrying military weapons? If they're defining them as military weapons, because last time I checked, they're using military style weapons. No, they're using AR-15s. They're using the same platforms that other people use all over the place. They're not using military. Again. Compose myself, Clyde. Compose yourself. Semi-automatic, automatic. An AR-15 is not an M4. It's not an M16. It's not fully automatic. AR-10. No, AR-10 is just a larger caliber version of an AR-15. In fact, I'm hoping to pick one of those up. But I can't while I live in Canada. That's for sure. Not under this current regime. Unbelievable.
We should not be presented with a false choice that restricting war weapons is an assault on law-abiding, responsible gun owners and hunters.
Oh, because, restricting firearms is going to get criminals to stop getting them? Let me... Come here. Let me let you in on a little secret. Criminals don't obey the law. That's right. They don't obey the law. They're not listening to your legislation. They're not like, oh, geez, I was gonna get that Uzi. I think maybe I should look it up and see if it's part of that new legislation or not. Wait, it's always been banned here. That's right. Do you think they care? Do you think criminals care? It's unbelievable. Of course this is going after law-abiding gun owners. Who else? That guy who procured an SKS illegally, but now he finds out that it's prohibited? Oh my goodness. This illegally acquired legal firearm is now prohibited. I better hand it in. Get out of here. Oh, Mako XL with a $2 super chat saying 22 caliber ammo for you. Holy cow. This is unbelievable. Yeah, single shot next. Single shot is next. They're just whittling it down. Don't give them an inch. Don't give them an inch. Take our handguns back as well. I mean, I'm a big fan of handguns. I mean, handguns, that's what I like to shoot. In fact, it was my buddy's birthday recently. We went out and we shot handguns. In fact, it was his 50th, so we did a 50 cal 50. I gotta share this one. Oh, can I? Will it allow me to? No, it won't even allow me to. Never mind. I'll remind me at a later date, and I'll share that one with you guys. I was shooting the 50 cal Desert Eagle. It was so much fun. So much fun. I love handguns. Great. Yeah, handguns are my thing. That's my thing. I just absolutely love the 1911. And yeah. Not in Canada at this rate. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. 223.556 is glorified 22 cal. It is. It is. I mean, it's got a lot more punch behind it. Give me a break. It does have a lot more punch than like a 22 long. Don't forget to share that video. Just a reminder. I will. I gotta put it out on Twitter. You guys will love that over on Twitter. I know. I see you, Mucho Talk, over on Twitter all the time. Ooh, cheap ammo, NATO round. Yeah, target practice. Let's get into this.
It is also our government's intent to table next week regulations that will ensure that all new makes and models of firearms reaching our country are properly accounted for by the RCMP in the firearms reference table. This means that the list of prohibited firearms will now be evergreen.
That will be evergreen. Evergreen. Just like their Minister of Climate Change and craziness. They're coming for your property. They're coming for your guns. They want to control what you drive. They want to control what you see and hear on social media and the rest of the internet. This is the most tyrannical government we have ever had. Couldn't agree more. Ryan Garrettson on Twitter, thank you for posting this. Here's Bill Blair giving his announcement of this.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is a very important day, and I wanted to acknowledge Natalie, Suzanne, Wendy, and people I know who have worked so tirelessly on trying to make...
Natalie, Suzanne, Wendy, do you have to look them all in the face as you do it? Just say, I want to acknowledge... Wow, these people are just nuts. They're nuts. Oh, they're absolutely nuts. So listen here. This is how they're framing it. We want to infringe on your rights, and we're gonna do it by addressing the Polytechnic massacre that happened years ago.
Canada a safer place for all of us. And as we mark a very important and solemn anniversary tomorrow,
address the camera, you dimwit. Mako XL, the $2 super chat. Sick to my stomach. You and me both.
I hope it increases all of our collective resolve to continue to do what is required.
Collective resolve. Hate collectivists. Helicopter ride for this guy for sure.
As my colleague, Minister LeBlanc, has indicated, we've been working very closely with our friends in Ukraine to ensure that weapons that were intended to be used in combat could be made available to them. And since Russia's brutal...
I'm going to say this again. They don't want them. They're not combat weapons, you idiot. Especially, so this is another thing. I gotta say this. I gotta put this up. So I got to look it up first, but weapons that were used during the First World War, they were converted when they came back. It was called sporterizing. So one of the most popular ones was the 303 Enfield. Now, see if I can't get an image of the Enfield before it was sporterized and then after. And what the whole process looks like, because it's a totally different gun when looking gun anyway. The fixtures and everything. Spare parts army. The 279 super chat. Justin Trudeau wants to ban Airbnb. That's a whole other stream. Holy cow! I mean, well, I'll show a clip that kind of gets into it. Can I find one that's not been sporterized? So let's just go 303 Enfield. Okay, here we go. So let's get some images up here so people can see. Like, it makes a lot more sense when you see it visually. So here we go. So this is a 303 with a heck of a scope on it. I don't think they would have had this in the war. But a lot of Canadian troops used this gun. This was a gun that was issued to Canadian troops, and it's a bolt action. It's a bolt action Enfield 303. This was a weapon of war. Better believe it. But it had some features on it that the sport version didn't have, and namely the stock. Now, not this part of the stock so much as it was the front part of the stock. Now, the front part of the stock was covered in wood, and the reason for that was because if you were firing it and then you had to like sling it and then go marching right away, that barrel's hot. And you could burn yourself with it, or if you're crawling around with it after firing it, this is the thing. This is the reality that people had to deal with during war. So when they came back and they brought these back, what they did is they called sporterizing these rifles, and they pulled the stock off, and then they would sporterize by just putting a different stock on it, or just trimming back the stock that was on it. But this is a popular rifle in Canada, and it's because it was issued to people. Now, firearms soon to be banned in Canada. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So let's go back to this. Let's bring the chat back. Come on in. Come on in. So this is the reality of the situation when it comes to those. And there's Duclos' ugly face again. We'll get back to that clip. I want to finish out this one from Ryan Garrettson and Bill Blair, but. So there's a lot of guns that were weapons of war, but they're no longer weapons of war. I guarantee you people are not keen to go up in the front lines in a modern warfare where you're fighting with drones and stuff and tanks, and bring in a 303 Enfield that you'll probably have a hard time finding ammunition for anywhere in the scene. It's crazy. Give him a break, Clyde. Most Ukrainians are probably still surrounded by World War II era stuff. Probably. Who knows? They probably have their own World War II, World War I, or the war before that, the Crimean War munitions handy. It's crazy.
An unjustified invasion of Ukraine. Canada has and continues to make every effort to support our Ukrainian allies in their fight to defend their territory, their sovereignty, their citizens, and to win this war. And since 2015, Canada has committed over $19 billion worth of aid and support to Ukraine, including $4.5 billion worth of lethal and non-lethal military equipment.
While our country starves, while people in our country are starving, and people are unfed, unhoused, you're devoting billions, $19 billion to a foreign war that a lot of Canadians that are hungry couldn't give a rat's ass about. Is that gray in your beard, Clyde? Nice new camera lens. Yeah, you can see the gray now because the camera's. I should go back to. I should put some Vaseline on there. I should go back to a crappy lens. Holy cow! Yeah, I'm an old man. People guess my age wrong all the time. I'm old. Holy cow, am I old? And yeah, it's coming in.
The Ukraine security forces have been very clear about the resources, support, and equipment that they need most. And we have always listened to them and tailored our donations to best meet those needs. And just this past October, we reached out to the Ukrainians once again to see whether any of the weapons that are currently under amnesty through Canada's assault-style firearms compensation program could be of any use to them in their fight against Russia. And they confirmed that indeed, some of the weapons that are part of the program would be suitable. And so I am pleased today to joining in this announcement to announce also that the Department of National Defence will begin working with the Canadian companies that have weapons that Ukraine needs and which are already eligible for the Assault Firearm Compensation Program in order to get these weapons out of Canada and into the hands of the Ukrainians.
Stop calling them weapons. Start going back to what it is. It's property. It's the property of Canadian citizens. Canadian citizens that acquired the property legally, lawfully, went through hoops to get it, and acquired it with their own money that they worked hard for after paying taxes. It's unbelievable. Where does it stop there? Where does it stop? Now, I can't even stomach this guy's clip anymore. I got to move on. I have to move on. Mako XL with a $2 super chat. If you're not on CCFR, join on stream. CCFR, join on stream. I'm always chatting with Rod Giltaka is awesome. Yeah, definitely. I gotta get them back on because that would be a lot of fun. Yes, Clyde, that's 100% correct. It is property. Many people don't understand that. But this, I gotta keep going back to this. Property rights are the crux of a market economy. If you don't respect property rights, then people are nervous. People get nervous. Why wouldn't you get nervous? And especially people with money that want to invest. Now, say for example, you had a bunch of money and you're like, hey, I would like to build a factory. Where can I build my factory? And Canada goes, hey, we'd love you to build your factory here in Saskatchewan, beautiful Saskatchewan. There's a whole bunch of people that would love to work at your factory and it'd be great and get things going, get things happening, and we can get to work. We get your widgets out there right on the open market. Okay, cool. Wait a second. Isn't your country one of those countries that confiscates people's property arbitrarily? Well, no, they only do that with guns. Well, yeah, but didn't a bunch of people get their stuff taken away just because they had loose ties to somebody in Russia when that broke out, and you were just looking for reasons to take stuff from people? Well, that was just that one thing, but like those were really bad people, but they had loose ties. We didn't have, like, we don't know if they were really bad people or not. Oh, well, you know, yeah, we're really only got after. No, I'm worried about building my factory in Saskatchewan. Your people might be great, and they're probably be great workers, but I'm not going to build my factory there because I don't know what your regime is going to do with my property. I don't know. I just said Saskatchewan because it's just some place in Canada. I wasn't specifically focusing on Saskatchewan. I don't mention Saskatchewan enough. I think the people are great there. That's a true statement. It's a compliment. I think the Saskatchewan people are fantastic. Robert McFallon with a $5 super chat says, I wouldn't want my confiscated gun killing another human. How about that? How about that? How about that? I'd love to put this to people that legally acquired firearms, a majority of anything that comes out of the muzzle of one of those things is either going to hit paper, dirt, and on the rare occasion, a game animal. Let me throw that out there. And far from like a little bit rare, like very, very rare would be a person. Almost non-existent. That's the reality of the situation. Oh, I'm done with Bill Blair, though. I'm totally done with Bill Blair. I can't watch that guy anymore. Peter Keenajad with a $5 super chat. Banning suppressors is another idiotic ban in Canada. They don't function like they're depicted in the movies. Thank you for all your hard work, Clyde. And I love, okay, this is a great comment. I want to expound on this one a little bit because Yes, a suppressor is that. It's a suppressor. It's not a silencer. It doesn't silence anything, and this is why we don't call them silencers. They're suppressors. What it is it's a series of baffles that slows down gases expanding. It slows them down so that they can come out slower. And when that happens, it has a muffling effect. We have them on cars. We just don't call them suppressors. We call them mufflers. They do the same thing. And I replace them for people on their cars all the time because you know why? Because when they fall off, boy, does it make a racket. Holy cow, does it make a lot of noise. Now, the thing is, and I just can't get my grasp around this one. I can't figure out where people's heads are in this space, where in every other space, we talk about safety, we talk about ergonomics, we talk about just general safety and awareness, and we should have knowledge about a thing. Heck, even when it comes to sex, they tell people we need sex education because kids need to know where the dangers are. On that aspect of things, I agree. On the let's go to strip bars with drag queens. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pass on that one. I'll go for the safety aspect of it, so people know about the safeties and the dangers and the hazards and all these other things. I'm in tune with that concept, so I'm all about that. So why do we flub this on firearms? We should be teaching firearms in schools. We should encourage people to handle them, to know what they're about. Just like we teach kids how to use saws and power tools in school. At least we used to. I hope we still do. Yes, we do. It just happens to be large prosthetic breast women, women that do that nowadays in Canada. Anyway, at least in Trafalgar or wherever that place was in Ontario. But yeah, safety first. And what's one big major part of safety? Hearing protection. Why is it that we're going full bore without mufflers all the time when it comes to firearms? We never do that with cars. In fact, we have restrictions on cars. They can't be above a certain decibel range. You gotta have a muffler on there, and there are limitations and there are rules and regulations and all that stuff around it. Go to England. They encourage hunters to use suppressors out in the woods when they're hunting because they don't want to disturb the neighbors as much as possible. Obviously, ultrasonic rounds, you break that speed barrier, it sounds like the crack of a whip, but without the bang, it's a lot more manageable and better for your ears. Absolutely. And then the ergonomics on top of that. All about that. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Peter, for the super chat and bringing that subject up. Easy Joe with a $5 super chat says, "I'm surprised with Trudeau's crazy idea. He doesn't use a law where they can forcefully buy houses from companies and people. Funny how that works." They're drafting it, my man. They're drafting it. They're getting into that realm. It's crazy. This is where we're going. This is where we're going with this. Daifeichu with a $5 super chat. "A good friend of mine grew up in India as a student. They were taught how to fire rifles at school. No fairy boys. They were taught how to be men. India wants men. Good job, India. Stop sending them here." I'm joking. No. Send all your skilled people over here. A lot less of the criminals and people without any skills, please. Mako XL with the $2 super chat. "Great points, but all regulations are strangling us." Yes. No, what I'm saying is, as a regulation, I'd say within certain boundaries, you got to use suppressors. I encourage that. I actually encourage that. It's the same as putting a muffler on your car. That's where I'm at. Regulations and taxes. Yeah. So I want to show this video because this one really this is a tearjerker right here. John Flynn saying, shame on the Liberal government and Justin Trudeau for taking away my daughter's favorite gun and confiscating even more firearms from law-abiding citizens, where real criminals with legal guns real criminals with illegal guns terrorizing our country. Call an election now. This should be an election issue. This shouldn't be something that is going unilaterally in a dictatorial order and council way from a government who has the worst popularity right now and is being propped up by what is it? The Maserati Marxist? Yeah. Unreal. But like, look how innocent this is. A young girl shooting her rifle, which looks like a 22 caliber, like a little plinker gun, a little plinkster. It's cute. It's cute. There's like no recoil to it. I mean, it's a gunpowder powered pellet gun. That's what that is. But isn't that cute? That's so cute. I'm gonna get my kids doing the same thing. Absolutely. They already love my airsoft guns. I've taken them out with those things. Because airsoft guns, pretty soon those will be illegal too. They have tried to ban those in Canada. And that's where we are with that. Now, Alex Zoltan putting this one out there. We're confiscating your guns and giving them to the far-right militia groups in undemocratic Ukraine for your safety and the greater good. That's what we're doing. Nailing it. Nails it with that one. Absolutely. Now, okay, guys, I got to prepare you for this. Well, before we get into that one, because that one, there's one that's is going to get your blood boiling. So prepare yourselves. Before we get into that one, Colin Noir is a YouTuber. He does a great job, and he's been a 2A advocate for years. He's been on Joe Rogan. He's talked about this issue a whole bunch. And then he's done some videos on Canada and Canadian firearms issues and stuff like that. Perhaps in the future, I'd love to get on his show when I move down to the States, so we can talk about all the craziness that's happening in Canada. If you're ever in his comment section, mention me by name. That would be great, because I'd love to chat with him. G-Meister, member for 29 months. Man, are you guys competing yet for like, I've been a member longer? I don't know. That's a long time. Member for 29 months. Holy cow. I'd like a statement from PP saying he's going to overturn these laws when he's PM. Yeah, I'd like to see that. Pierre Poilievre doing the typical thing that he does when news like this comes out, waits until everybody is fed up waiting. And has said a lot about his silence. So let's see. We'll see what he says. And by no means does this mean support Bernie. I mean, like Bernie. I had a whole bunch of people on X. I can't go a day without people going, Clyde, go to PPC now. Yeah, no. I just no. I'm not convinced that that's even a great idea, but that's a topic for another time. Let's not make this the PPC chat, because that's how quickly it turns. It turns into that. Let's get into Colin Noir and his video here talking about, well, Justin Trudeau and his about face on things that he said he was totally against before he was prime minister.
Anytime I bring up the fact that each gun control law is a slippery slope to the next gun control law, and that the ultimate goal is to ban them all, people gawk and say that I'm being a paranoid lunatic extremist. Most people are reasonable people, and reasonable people tend to expect their politicians to also be reasonable people.
That's not true, though.
Except when it comes to anti-gun politicians. Let's take the Prime Minister of Canada, for example, Justin Trudeau, who in 2010 said this to a group of pro-gun protesters.
Fear in here is that the first step towards registering your guns is just the first step towards taking away guns from everyone. That's never going to happen because here in Canada we have a culture that has grown up with guns and that respects the need to go out into the wilderness and shoot things from time to time.
Now fast forward 10 years later and he's saying this.
We have a culture of people who go out and shoot things from time to time. I mean, this guy's so disconnected he doesn't even know how to throw his rhetoric around, but somehow he convinced this group of young people with his, he's got a swash that he throws out there and a boing and a swash, and I don't know how anyone didn't see through this clown from the outset. But he's always been a clown.
Because here in Canada, we have a culture that has grown up with guns and that respects the need to go out into the wilderness and shoot things from time to time.
Now fast forward 10 years later, and he's saying this.
Effective immediately, it is no longer permitted to buy, sell, transport, import, or use military-grade assault weapons in this country. To protect law-abiding gun owners from criminal liability until they can take steps to comply with this new law, there will be a 2-year amnesty period, and we will legislate fair compensation.
Now
we will legislate fair compensation for taking away your private property. Your private property. This is the reality of this situation. Now, it sounds a lot more like this Trudeau. This is the Trudeau that we're more familiar with.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China. Because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say, we need to go green as fast as we need to start, invest.
Yeah, we need to start confiscating people's private property from them. That's the goal of Justin Trudeau. So Colin has a few more points to make in this video. Let's get to this.
Fair compensation.
Now I can see someone saying, well, assault weapons, that's different. That's not the same. And well, I disagree. And I'll do a video on why I disagree in the near future. But let's go with that. Let's just say that so-called assault weapons are different. Okay, so now explain this.
And we will work with the provinces and territories to enable municipalities to restrict handguns.
We went from no one's trying to take guns to ban all the AR-15s. And you just saw, he made it quite clear he wants to ban handguns too. So I ask you, what happened to reasonable and common sense? So no, I'm not being...
So I love this guy. I love Colin. He's great. I gotta point this out because this is a situation in the United States of America. It's a different culture over there because nobody has to lie about it. Nobody has to throw it out there that, oh, well, I only need this for recreation and hunting and all. No, in America, in the United States of America, it is very straight up. Guns are there to protect you. You use them for self-defense. Straight up, nobody's questioning it. You don't hem or haw or around the idea of defending yourself with a firearm. So this is why it is largely, to say unpopular, nobody will accept a handgun ban in America. That is the do not go zone on gun control, where in Canada, that's where they went first. Right? It's a completely different culture because they went towards this idea that you shouldn't be allowed to defend yourself with a firearm, which I think is absurd. I think you should absolutely. It's the equalizer. What's that old saying that what is the old saying that God made made all men, and then John Colt made them equal. You got strong men, you got weak men, you got women. And holy cow, women being able to carry a pistol with them, that is the great equalizer. That is the thing that stops criminals from just willy-nilly going up and taking advantage of women in situations, which is why I am completely flabbergasted when I see interviews like this one. This one, get ready, folks. This one's really going to make your blood boil. Boy, let's get into this. I'll give you a quick little close-up because why? This is the character. This is the character. This is the character, the subject of today's show here. Well, not the whole show, but this portion of the show. Yeah. I know. I see it in the comments. I see it in the comments right there. Yes, this is how you can be both lowbrow and highbrow at the same time. You get all your bases covered here with this one. Ghost Media, thank you so much for posting this, drawing this to my attention. This is breaking news. Canadian gun ban buyback scam. 12-year-old Suzanne Zakor. First she's not 12. And Eyebrows is claiming to be the leader of the continuing gun ban. Her knowledge of the subject is unbearably amusing. Those eyebrows, though. Let's not make fun of her too much for the her appearance. Let's make fun of her for her ideas. I want to engage that way. Let's get into what's actually said here, because this is infuriating.
The announcement and is welcoming the news. Suzanne Zakor.
Oh, just first out of the gates. Dude, lisp. Speech pathologist. Come on. Anyway, so guy with the lisp working for the CBC. Gotcha.
The announcement and is welcoming the news. Suzanne Zakor is the Director of Legal Affairs at the National Association of Women and Law. She joins me tonight from Ottawa. Thank you for being.
So this is what it gets like. So she's an advocate for women's rights. You think that Zakor would want to have women packing heat? We've seen it time and time again. If you follow the right channels, you follow the right things on either X or YouTube or some of the other platforms, you'll know that women who actually pack heat fare a lot better in assault type scenarios. So I think a real women's advocate would be advocating for women and their right to bear arms.
Being here, Suzanne.
Thank you for having me.
Several hundred models and variants added to this list of banned weapons. This is something that you have been calling for. Do you think that the government went far enough?
Translation, love your ideas, sweetheart. And how can we get more of this? I know I'm trying to be impartial, but I'm from the CBC and I'm totally into your ideas.
Well, we're very happy to see movement on that file. We've been advocating on this with partners in the women's rights movement. So, of course, as the government recognized, there are still other steps that are coming, but it's encouraging to hear that some of the models are now going to be banned and that the buyback is underway.
The new gun control measures were announced.
I love that comment, Charlie W. As a father of 3 daughters, I agree 100%. We should be advocating for women to bear arms. Yes, sir. Enough of this, like, karate classes. Like, come on. Sweetheart, I don't care how good you are at Muay Thai or whatever the heck. Strong man, little frail woman. Thump. Like, women need a way of defending themselves. I advocate that they be able to do that. And listen, bullets are little, but they pack a lot of heat, a lot more than a little lady they'll take out that big guy if that needs to happen.
On the eve of the 35th anniversary of the Montreal massacre, why do you think it took years to implement the legislation?
Why is it that they took so long? Why is it so long? Why can't Canadians just get on board with taking away their property and their rights to defend themselves? I'm sorry, just like, come on, dude. Really? You're growing the stubble beard. Just lose the lisp. Oh, and just like quit pretending that you're impartial. You're a propaganda. You're a propagandist in a propaganda outfit. Sorry, no, it's CBC. Yeah, there's not even global.
Well, I think this is a contentious issue. As we were just hearing, some people feel that it's an attack on law-abiding citizens, which is a problematic reasoning, because these are people who bought firearms that were legal, and now that they're going to become illegal, they're going to be compensated with a buyback.
That's not compensation. Taking your property away from you involuntarily, there is no compensation for that. It's called a crime. And it's like like a thief coming to your house and then taking your TV and then leaving a couple of bucks on the counter and being like, for your TV. With a note that just says for your TV. What? There is no compensation for theft. Sorry. If I was, what am I, like looking into the future? I'm like, I'm going to buy this firearm because I think that at some point in the future, the government might compensate me for this justly, and I'll be very happy with the results of that. No, you won't be. You won't be. Unreal. Lady. What if we got rid of open neck women's sweaters? And you're just gonna accept the just compensation for that? What if we said we banned over the shoulder crappy pigtails? Whatever you're doing there. Anyway, it's ridiculous.
So I think the discourse and sometimes the misinformation about the fact that somehow gun owners never participate in domestic violence is part of the reason why it's always so difficult to progress on that file, despite all the work that is put into it.
Okay, so is it domestic violence, or are we talking about gun crime? Gun owners, what is gun owners having anything to do with domestic violence? Perhaps. Gun owners are involved in domestic violence. What? We're talking about gun owners using firearms for crime. It's overwhelming, the statistics that gun owners do not commit crimes. Legal gun owners overwhelmingly do not commit crimes. And especially with their firearms, they do not commit crimes.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the criticism, because you mentioned some of it. How do you respond to critics who say that these guns aren't guns that are used in violent crimes and they target law-abiding gun owners?
They're only targeting law-abiding gun owners. What would you say to that? I totally disagree with that as well. Like, come on. It's just hard to take this guy seriously.
Well, again, they're not being targeted. They're not being punished in any way. It's simply they're asked to replace a firearm that is becoming illegal with a firearm that's going to be legal, and they're going to be compensated for it.
Hold on. They're not being punished. They're not being targeted. They're specifically being targeted. What are you talking about? They're not being targeted. People who own... Who is being targeted outside of that group? I'm like, no joke. Is this a blanket? Like, oh, we're just throwing it out there, folks. Just throwing it out there, folks. We're just making these guns illegal. Well, who else has them? Except the people that own them. Again, for one, criminals don't obey laws. Criminals don't obey laws. So we're not talking about criminals here. We're talking about people who own firearms, right? So if we break this out into two groups, the people who own those firearms legally and the people who illegally own those firearms, the people who illegally own those firearms, they're not going to get rid of them regardless, so we're not talking to them. So we're only talking to the people who legally own them. So by only talking to those people, could we say that maybe you're targeting them? Yes, you're targeting that group. How is this even a conversation? How are we talking about this? Why is this a thing? Yes, you're targeting them, you're going after them, and it's not a simple matter of, oh, well, oh, okay. I didn't realize it was going to be that easy. I just exchanged my firearm for one that is legal? Because you arbitrarily chose those firearms as illegal? It's unreal. It's unreal. It's unreal. I mean, you could say this about any product. We're banishing 4-doors. We're banishing 4-door sedans. You're no longer allowed to buy a 4-door sedan. There are too many doors. You telling me you need that many doors? Do you need that many doors on a car? We're banning 4-door sedans. Well, we're doing a buyback program of 4-door sedans. We're going to have your 2 doors. We'll have your hatchbacks, the 3 doors. And we got one of those for you. But I like my car. Wow. We're not targeting you, 4-door sedan owner. We're not targeting you. You just come in and you exchange your 4-door sedan for a legal car. Stupid. It's arbitrary and rude.
I think it's really important to understand that, law-abiding citizens should welcome the opportunity to abide by the law.
Why don't you abide by how things are spelled? TH, lady, abide by the law. I'm sorry, I get annoyed with the duh. Abide by the law.
And the law is going to be that these assault weapons are no longer welcome in our.
So the thing about crappy laws is that they're arbitrary and pernicious. This is the argument here. Just abide by the law. You know how many, especially for a woman advocate. Oh my goodness, that's so infuriating. For an advocate for women. How could I say this without sounding absolutely rude? When women didn't have it so good, why didn't they just abide by the law? Now, I'm not advocating for that. I think women should have equal rights and protections under the law too. But when it was unfair, unjust, pernicious, and arbitrary, why didn't you just abide by the law? And pluck those eyebrows, sweetheart. No, I'm joking. Oh, don't pluck the eyebrows. Don't pluck the eyebrows. Just don't be a... see you next Tuesday.
Our streets, in our communities, and it's really important to prioritize safety over, cosmetic preference of...
Ephonic Zen, welcome to the community. Or is it welcome back? Awesome, glad to see you here.
Or like an individual's preference of wanting desperately to own these assault weapons. The government with this announcement is prioritizing safety, including women's safety. So this is really something we welcome. And
now, again, this isn't prioritizing women's safety. A prioritization of women's safety would be an advocation or decriminalization of firearms and encouragement of women to obtain their firearms license, bring back carry, concealed carry, Allow women to carry firearms in their purse. Teach them firearm safety. Teach them safety, especially with children around. Firearms need to be kept out of the hands of kids, and then kids need to learn about these things. Absolutely. But if you want to really advocate for women's safety, the safety role for guns in this argument, in this argumentation, is more in the hands of more women.
We hope to see implemented successfully and very quickly.
Some of those critics also say that, you know, the real issue here is the guns that are coming in from other countries that are illegal. What would you say to that?
What would you say to that, sweetheart? I can't do it. I can't do it.
So that's just really part of the denial of the role of guns in domestic violence. There are legal guns that are used in domestic violence. There's this narrative by the gun lobby that anyone who has a firearms license and is a legal gun owner, somehow they would be the only part of the entire population where domestic violence is just not occurring, which is of course not true. And legal guns are used to kill women and also to threaten them, to control them. So part of the measure.
How many? How many? Like, get out there and say it, because the stats keep coming in clearer and clearer. Yes, of course, there's always going to be outliers. Of course. Yeah, there's going to be law-abiding citizen who commits a heinous act. Happens. There's going to be law-abiding citizen who beats up on his wife. Awful. I condemn that activity. I condemn those people from doing that. But let's look, how many? How many? Because the stats have come out time and time again that the people with legally acquired firearms, because it's such a stringent process, let's say, to get your firearms license in Canada, and then to go as far as having restricted firearms, i.e. handguns or some certain rifles. Yeah, it's pretty intrusive. The RCMP know a lot about you at that point. And the stats show that the numbers are very low. Yes, of course. There are bad people in every group, but the numbers are low. But she's trying to say that the gun lobby is saying that there are none. Nobody's made that claim. So that's called a straw man. That's when they try to build up this straw man, so you fight that straw man instead of go after her and her crappy ideas.
That haven't been as discussed, but that were also part of the announcement, is to say, well, when someone has engaged in domestic violence, they're going to lose their firearms license. So it's important to recognize this link between legal firearms and domestic violence.
Okay, so make that a thing. You're involved in domestic violence, you lose your firearms license. That's not what's being argued. That's not what's being argued right now. You're talking about making a swath of guns illegal. And listen, like, this is our David Hogg, or is this David Hogg of Canada. She wants all guns gone, period. End of story. That's it.
You wrote an op-ed in the Hill Times, and you said that gun control is a women's issue. I wonder if you can just expand on that.
I want you to expand on that, because I kind of identify in that category. I'm sorry. I read your article. It was fantastic. It was salacious.
Yeah, absolutely. So the use of firearms is actually an extreme risk factor for femicide. So of course there can be domestic violence with or without a firearm.
Okay, the term femicide. Nobody is trying to exterminate the females. That's not a thing. Femicide, or like homicide of females. Get out of here. Oh, I can't stand this language. You got to call it out when you hear it, though. And this is I want to encourage people. This is a bit of homework for people. And some of you, like, maybe you don't want to have conflict in your lives, and you don't want to. But when you hear idiot phrases like this, these idiot phrases are actually a tool, a very powerful tool of Marxists use these tools, but it's a propaganda technique to get you to agree, use their terms, be less agreeable. Don't use their terms. It's not a femicide, it's a homicide. It's killing somebody. And if you're suggesting that it's a genocide of feminine people, it's like, no, that's not happening. That's not a thing. Not a thing.
Firearms is actually an extreme risk factor for femicide. So of course there can be domestic violence with or without a firearm, but when there's a gun in the home, the risk to the woman's life is really magnified.
Yeah, don't use their terms. Kenzie Kraken saying, LOL, I haven't used their terms in years. And not just don't use their terms, but call them out. When you hear other people use those terms, like say, did you mean this? Because that just sounds like woke stupid for real words. That just sounds like that, a real term being dismantled by some idiot and used for, fabricating social license, Brian Burgeon adding. Yeah.
An increase. So loose gun control leads to again, domestic violence perpetrated with firearms. And even in mass shootings, there's often
what was the point she's saying?
Magnified an increase. So loose gun control leads to again, domestic violence perpetrated with firearms. And even in mass shootings.
Okay, what you're saying is that if we have loose gun control, then there will be an increase of domestic violence where firearms are used in the violence. So what? I mean, you're cherry picking. Now, this is like this whole idea of lying with statistics. So if more people have guns, then when there's a confrontation and someone's murdered or someone's killed, there's a chance that a firearm might have been used. Well, when there's no guns available and murders are committed, well, they're committed with other things other than the firearms. So could we say that gun control advocates are proponents for knife theft or knife murder? Because everywhere they've been successful in their endeavors, the violent crimes involving knives have increased. That would be disingenuous, wouldn't it? It would not be honest. It would be a dishonest thing to say that it's their fault, that it's the fault of the gun control advocates that people are committing crimes with knives. No, it's the fault of the person with the knife committing the crime. That's the point. This is lying. It's being dishonest. And the thing is, like, I know people like this are way smarter than that. But the problem is it's not about how smart they are. It's about how stupid they think you are. That's what it is. They think you're stupid, and they think that you won't catch on to the sophistry and the clever little linguistic tricks that they're using here. And that's what it comes down to. They think you're dumb. It's not that they're dumb. They're just wrong.
There's often a relationship with domestic violence, often as perpetrators who either commit domestic violence or had committed domestic violence in the past, and women are likely to be the victims of this gun violence. And I was saying also in rural areas, particularly where there are a lot more.
Again, I'd like to see the statistics for that, because where gun control is non-existent and domestic violence leads to guns being used in the domestic violence, we're talking about a tiny portion of the demographic of the country and all of this. Now she's focusing on this little tiny portion of it instead of the whole picture. So she's focused on that. Okay, well, let's see the stats. Yeah, trust her, bro. Right? So I'm curious about this because I would love to see the stats, one to one. How many of them were women that were the perpetrators of using the firearm versus men that were the perpetrators of using a firearm in places where gun control was not strict? So she's obviously not talking about Canada because Canada has had strict gun control for a very long time. So we'll have to look in other countries. So where in other countries would you see situations where, domestic violence occurred and then a firearm was used? A firearm was used in a case of domestic violence. My gut reaction goes to say that probably the chicks were using the gun more often than the guys. But that's me. That's my gut instinct. But I would love to see the stats on that. I would love to see the stats on that. Why is she talking like women don't ever own guns? Right? In fact, again, I'm going to get back to that. My advocacy is that more women own guns. But she's focusing on domestic violence, which is only a tiny fraction of all the gun violence. Why is that such a significant factor?
Firearms. Women also show large support for common sense gun control measures. So that's why we think it's a women's rights issue to.
No. Because women are emotional and appeal to emotional stuff does not correlate with it being a women's issue. Sorry, sweetheart. Gonna have to pump the brakes on that one. Huge. So it's true. Women do, and sorry to all the women in the audience here, women do appeal to emotional arguments much more than men do. This is just a reality of the situation. Men will more likely go towards, a logical thing. If emotions are involved, it's usually about rage or anger or something like that. That's what motivates men, less than, the fear factor emotional response. And then when men feel enraged, they respond differently than when women feel fearful. So we know this about how people market towards men and how people market towards women. So this is the thing. Trish Prue, speaking of women, Trish Prue with its $6.99 super chat. Does this mean nail guns and women's psych heels shoes are next? Or what is that? Psych. Is that a typo? Marty told me a thing for typos. I don't know how that. Women's psych heel shoes are next. High heel shoes. That's it. Does that mean nail guns and women's high heel shoes are next? Anything can be used as a weapon. Anything can be used as a weapon. Stilettos, high heels. You guys are all correcting me. Spike. That's the word it was trying. I'm dyslexic, so if I get a typo, I'll get hung up on that 100%. Spike heels. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean those are all weapons, but hey, would women ever possibly use those in a confrontation? I'm just so curious of what this lady's hang up is.
For the right of women to be safe in their own homes and communities.
Are you optimistic that there will be change because of this announcement today? And what is the metric that you're using to determine if there is change and when?
Well, when you're in my line of work, it's a women's rights issue to, for the right of women to be safe in their own homes and communities.
Are you optimistic that there will be change because of this announcement today? And what is the metric that you're using to determine if there is change and when?
Is there gonna be change? When's the change gonna happen? When will the change happen? Will you determine when the change can occur? And all the change that might, what do you? Okay, we're asking for change. CBC is advocating for this lady. Let's get into this.
Well, when you're in my line of work, you have to be optimistic. Otherwise, you find another job. So we are optimistic, especially the measures on domestic violence. So the way we can believe these are effective is we know from previous femicides, including those that had happened in the last year, that there were warning signs that would now, when the new measures come into force, trigger removal of the gun. So abusers who have a protection order against them, and abusers who have, who are known to have committed domestic violence, the guns will be removed. And of course, we, many of the mass shootings are committed, including the Polytechnique massacre, with legal at the time assault weapons. So that's what makes us optimistic that these measures can truly be effective in saving lives. The work is not done. This was a very important step announced today, and we'll continue to advocate for these measures to be completed, and hope for that all parties will collaborate and that the government will complete these measures that are life-saving. And in the case of the domestic violence measures, really benefited from input from our group and other women's groups to come with to arrive at measures that we believe will be very effective.
Okay, Suzanne, have to leave it there for now. Appreciate your time on this tonight. That is Suzanne Zakour, the Director of Legal Affairs at the National Association of Women and the
not advocating for women's self-defense, obviously a bad move in my opinion, in my estimate, and that's where I stand on that one. Obviously, where else were we on this? So National Post was also writing about this GST holiday flops. Where am I going? This was I had a National Post story, but I lost it. That was Justin Trudeau surrounded by a lot of people with guns there. Here's Ryan Garrettson again, putting this one out there this is Warren Kinsella talking about 5 years the Liberals have spent $70 million since the first gun ban, and not a single gun has been confiscated. The Liberals just endlessly waste money.
It makes no sense. I mean, it's kind of sort of related in people's mentalities, particularly highly related among activists and progressives who don't understand guns, who have never understood guns, and don't understand crime. They don't think criminals are responsible for crime. So let's go after law-abiding gun owners.
Yeah.
But this is purely a political move on the Liberals' part. And you can see it in all the aspects of this announcement. They announced that they were going to immediately outlaw 324 additional models of firearms, in addition to the 1,500 they had outlawed in May of 2020. Now, if these are so dangerous, how come all of the guns, perhaps 200,000, that were banned in 2020 are still in the hands of their original owners?
That's a good point. I mean, at the end of the day, is this just a virtue signal that they're going to ban all these things? Now, this has been a serious, how can I say, a serious pain in the ass for anyone who's a legal firearms owner. Because I know people that own AR-15s. I know people who own a lot of these firearms that were listed in the first ban that are in limbo. They have their guns in their safes. They can't take them out. They can't go to the range. They can't do anything with their property. And they're just stuck. They're just stuck because the Liberals have done this. It's insane to me. I found the article, by the way. It was hiding on me. Liberals ban hundreds more types of firearms, look to send prohibited guns to Ukraine. Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc announced the Liberals were adding 324 more unique makes and models of assault-style firearms to its list of banned weapons. Just ludicrous. Ludicrous. Let's keep going with this.
In 5 years, the Liberals have spent over $70 million on their gun ban and confiscation program and not collected a single gun, not one. All the guns are still in the same hands as they were 5 years ago. And yet we were told 5 years ago, these guns are so dangerous, so dangerous. We have to take them out of people's hands. We can't have them in Canada. They're so dangerous. But the federal Liberals have made no effort whatsoever to remove any of them from the hands of the people who had them when they banned them.
That's right.
And it will be the same with the 10 or 20,000 that are affected.
Not only that, the ones that are out on the street, the ones that were banned beforehand. So this is the thing. At the end of the day, there are a bunch of criminals out there that have firearms that were already banned before Trudeau came into power. We saw recently in Surrey there was a shootout. It was like a drive-by where they got out of the car. So I don't know what you call that. It's a shootout. But what was the gun of choice in that? An Uzi. An Uzi. Like when was the last time you went to a Cabela's and you saw an Uzi on the shelf? They're not legal. They haven't been. They're full auto submachine guns. Like that's not legal in Canada. But the criminals are acquiring these things nonetheless. They're not even legal in the United States unless you have special licensing, all this other stuff. In the United States, and get this, so in the US, and I think it was in, was it 84 or 86, they banned full auto rifles, or full auto guns, right? They banned them unless you have very special licensing, all that stuff. But because they banned them in that year, the way their law works, they can't retroactively ban everything that everybody's owned. So there was a bunch of people that owned them. And so they're just like, screw you, I own this, right? People with Browning automatics and all kinds of other firearms. So those were all grandfathered in, which made for a really expensive market in the full auto range. So if you want to buy a full auto gun, you have to have a special license, and then you have to have a special permit with the gun, and it has to be with the gun at all times, and blah blah blah. It's legal, but it's very, very difficult. But they made that law. My question, I'd love to ask a legal scholar, how is it that they can make these laws and then make them retroactive? So previous purchases, nothing's grandfathered in. Now, obviously the ban of handgun sales did work that way. So it's grandfathered in for people who own handguns in Canada. You don't have to forfeit them. I'm good with an Uzi. Lots of GTA San Andreas XP. Thanks, AJ. Appreciate that. Well, let's get some more commentary in here. We've got here from Yukon Strong pointing out Jasmine, who's talking about how this has been a point of contention for property ownership for some time.
So let me get this straight. Last night, Justin Trudeau tweets that he is going to be cracking down on homes that are privately owned by hardworking Canadians being used as rental properties. Some people actually make their living off of this on Airbnb and whatnot. He's going to crack down on those.
Now, I chimed in on this because the British Columbia government did this some time ago. They cracked down on Airbnbs, and it's like, okay. And then what? Then you're going to have to enforce this. And what happened? Well, people haven't complied. Airbnbs are still out there. People are still doing it. Nobody's really enforcing it. But at the end of the day, should the government have the ability to make this decision? Now, yeah, it's popular for a lot of people at the moment. It was popular when it happened because a lot of people were like, well, I'm struggling. I need a rental. And I'm in the same boat. I got kicked out of my rental and my rent went up by $20,000 this year. Awesome. That's fantastic, right? So, it's been hurting. But at the end of the day, is it just for the government to come in and say, no, we don't like what you're doing with your property. We want you to do something different with your property. We want to dictate what you can and cannot use your property for. And we don't know, you had a business, what had you had going. Well, we're going to change all of that. All of them? He'll know, Clyde. What? All of them. I'm not sure what all of them. So, yeah, this happened in British Columbia. And yeah, all of them, the Airbnbs. Yeah, the Airbnbs, they said any residence, like any residence that could be a rental residence for a family, something like that, they were banned in British Columbia from being on Airbnb. And a bunch of them didn't comply. They just went ahead and did it anyway. But now Justin Trudeau is jumping on that bandwagon. And again, the question is, what is the role of the government? Should they be able to dictate what people do with their property? Again, in my estimate is Airbnb is taken off because hotels are having a hard time competing with people who don't have the same regulatory body over them. But I mean, we can get into that conversation another time. I did talk about this briefly with Marty before. I'd love to get into that, but this is more along the lines of what the government's doing with property and how this pertains to what they did with the firearms ownership as well.
Will actually make their living off of this on Airbnb and whatnot. He's going to crack down on those to try to use them instead. So take them away from the people who bought them legally and decided to rent it out, which is perfectly lawful to do. And then today, Justin Trudeau announces that they will be adding several hundred new gun models and variants to their list of prohibited firearms. Does anybody else see something kind of weird going on here? And I mean, are you even being a conspiracy theorist when these things are so in your face? Not to mention that Justin Trudeau's initial crackdown on legal, lawful gun owners who passed background checks, and how when he did that, it actually didn't decrease the amount of violence on the streets because lawful gun owners are not the ones who are using those registered weapons that can easily be traced back to them to commit crimes.
No. That's it. That's the other part. That's the other part of it. Oh, Mark Serbu has a new video out from 2 days ago. Okay. So I'm just looking at that now. Of course, Mark Serbu being the guy who made the Buttmaster. I just noticed that on YouTube. But I'm just looking at this. How long have I been streaming? Holy cow. I went to town tonight on this one. But I mean, we could get into this all night. I think I'll give it back to the chat for a few minutes before we move on and we get packing for the week. The Buttmaster. That's right. Well, I'll pop on his channel right here. 1 second. So this is Mark Serbu's channel here for all those that haven't tuned into his stuff before. He does some really cool stuff. It's custom firearms. He's not a large manufacturer, but he does make a series of different firearms. I don't know how many of them are legal here in Canada or how many he sends up this way, but he also does a bunch of interesting, fun videos about different designs and different things like that. So if you're really into firearms and the manufacturer of how they work, I'm a mechanic, so I really dig the mechanisms and all that stuff. That's kind of my angle on the whole gun hobby. I really just enjoy how they function, and they're super fun to shoot. That's the way it goes. But yeah, go check out Mark Serbu's channel. He's got great videos. Definitely go check that out. Bring the chat back. But yeah, just want to say that this week has been a crazy week. we're also bringing a bunch more content out for everybody, especially on the live content stuff. I don't know if you've noticed, or many have noticed, but we started doing the live Marty and Clyde podcast live on, our usual Clyde and Marty podcast for Thursday mornings. We now do them live. We still publish them on Thursday morning, the same as we always did. But when we do the recordings on Wednesday, we thought, why not just go live with it? It would be kind of cool to bring that to people in a live format, as well as adding a Q&A session. Now, the Q&A session, I do make available for people afterwards so they can catch up on it if you are a member of the channel. If you're not a member of the channel, sorry, you're gonna have to catch it live as it happens. Unfortunately, I know some people don't have the cash to put in and become members of the channel, but if you happen to be a member, and you're not up late on a Wednesday evening, that's where you can check it. You can check it afterwards. If not, it'll be the normal podcast. And if you want to be part of the live Q&A, I mean, that's what it's going to have to be. It's going to be Wednesdays live, and that's 6:30 Pacific time. So that's 9:30 Eastern. Winiska with a $20 super chat. Thanks, Clyde. All the best. Thank you. I really appreciate it. By the way, for all those people looking into getting some of the coffee is great. I hope more and more people get into it, because it is coffee that we're making available for everyone, and it's not just some drop ship coffee. And this is the best part, is I'm actually involved in the process of making this stuff, and this is why I'm so excited to talk about it, because I'm a coffee lover. I drink coffee. Of course, I'm doing the wobbly pops this evening, but every morning I'm drinking coffee with you guys as I'm putting these videos together, and I want to drink nothing but the tastiest coffee available. So I got together with my buddy Yuji. He is a coffee roaster master, and we got together and we put together some flavors so that everybody can enjoy this. This is us doing some quality checking. But yeah, we have the Maga Medium. We're making Americanos great again. Get your dark humor, morning coping mechanism, and even if you're into decaf, we have that available for you. It's over at the store. Now, I know there's been some shipping issues for people, because Canada Post is on strike, but not only that, Canada Post is very, very, very expensive, and that's something that we're working on. We're working on possibly a different supplier, or maybe even going through Amazon channels to make that available for people in a easier, faster way. In the meantime, you can go through the usual store. The link is in the description, always down below. Go check that out. I hope people that are, if you're already having coffees anyway and you want to help support the channel, absolutely love the super chats, absolutely love the memberships, but you can go over and you can get something in hand too by going over and grabbing some coffee. Get that happening for you. There's Kevin Serbu, not the coffee. There's the coffee. Go check it out. And we got mugs. And we got some other things coming, so looking forward to that, as well as the Wobbly Pops t-shirt. So if you're enjoying Wobbly Pops like I am tonight, go get one of those to show some support for that. But anyway, wanted to do that and give a little recognition out there to the hard work that goes into making that. And it sounds like I'm losing my voice here. Do you supply espresso beans? Yeah, well, so you can make espresso with that coffee. Depends on how you grind it. If you want it pre-ground, it comes as like a medium grind. But if you just get the beans, you can grind it yourself however much you want and get that espresso happening. It's good stuff. So big thanks to everybody for this busy week. Holy cow. Busy at work and then busy making videos, busy talking about news and what's happening. Drink some water for your voice. I will. I've been drinking lots of water all week, and then I finally got my Wobbly Pops. I haven't had a Wobbly Pop in, believe it or not, like 2.5 weeks. So there's some water for the voice. Anyway, big thanks to everybody. thank you all for coming out, and don't forget to get into the Discord. If you're a Discord user, go join the Discord server after the chats here. A lot of times I'll jump in there and go chat with people for the remainder of the evening. So give my voice a little rest, let other people talk, and add my 2 cents in as you can too. So how do I find the Discord? The Discord link is in the description down below. Go check it out. The Discord, oh, there's the Discord link right there. And just so you know, it's only available during the live streams. We've been keeping it kind of hush-hush, so only members of the community will join there. Don't want so many bots, don't want so many trolls and all that stuff. So that's why we're keeping the Discord kind of chill. Anyway, head on over there. Enjoy your time there while you're there. Enjoy your time this weekend with family, with friends, with all the people you're going to spend your time with. And of course, we will see you in the next one. We'll see you on Monday.